What's up, YouTube? I had a chance to go down to Grand Rapids and a massive book haul as I hit up several Goodwill shops and came back with a pretty massive load. I'm going to talk about that next. So I got a pretty good number of books here that I'm pretty excited about at a number of different places in Grand Rapids, spending some good quality time, which I highly recommend for everybody. Get good quality time with people that you care about. And I had that opportunity, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm also grateful that I had the opportunity to go and do a little Goodwill shopping and do it with good company as well. And so while out BookTube shopping and picking up this book haul, I had an opportunity to see some good books, and I'm going to go over them real quickly here. Not going to keep you here too long. And the first one that I actually spotted was, ironically enough, a James Patterson book, co-written with Liz Marklin, and this one is Postcard Killers. And I saw it there, and I'm kind of a sucker for a James Patterson book. So I saw this one. I was really excited about it. NYPD detective Jacob Cannon is on tour of Europe's most gorgeous cities, but the sights aren't what draw him. He sees each museum, each cathedral, and each cafe through the eyes of his daughter's killer. So that one just kind of grabbed me right off the bat, and I'm like, boom, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a try. 99 cents, you can't beat that. And by the way, these are all 99-cent books. Next one I got was Priceless by Nicole, Richie, New York Times best-selling author. You can see the back cover right there. It's probably an attention grabber alone for a whole lot of people there. Just sounded like a really intriguing read, and as I looked through it, again, just got it really cheap, 99 cents. I thought, you know what, this is worth it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a try. Just sounded like it was going to be a really good read here. Meet Charlotte Williams. Tall, blonde, and willowy, this 22-year-old seems to have everything going for her. She's rich and gorgeous, a talented singer, and has just returned to her Park Avenue penthouse after a year of studying in Paris. But since her mother's tragic death years ago, her father, an extremely successful financier, has been her only family, and if she's been honest, her only true friend. All that changes when Jacob Williams is arrested on charges of fraud and the SEC freezes the family's bank accounts. With her father in jail and her partying pals suddenly scarce, Charlotte escapes Manhattan and heads to the one place she doesn't think anyone will come looking, New Orleans. And so she goes on to try to rebuild her life in New Orleans. It sounded really interesting, and I was just excited to jump into it and give it a try. Again, 99 cents, can't beat that. Next up is The Blonde by Duane Rosinski. Hopefully I pronounced that right. First of all, a very engaging cover that really grabs you right off the bat, and just really was an attention grabber, as I said, right off the bat. Some good reviews on the back. The night before a big meeting, Jack Isley is sitting in an airport bar in Philadelphia, chatting up a pretty young blonde. Sure, Jack has a wife and daughter at home, but this is just a little harmless flirting. Harmless, that is, until the blonde leans forward and says, "I poisoned your drink." So that's an attention grabber right off the bat, and then you can see with the cover art right there, it's one that, it just, to me, again, just for 99 cents, that's just too hard to pass up. Next up is an author that I have several books by, but I haven't started to read yet. So that author is Sandra Bound, and this one is Chill Factor, and it just sounded, you can see her on the back cover right there. Nice professional photo there. In the past 2 years, 5 women have disappeared from the quiet little town of Cleary, North Carolina. Were they murdered or kidnapped? Nobody knows. Their clever abductor never leaves any evidence, just a simple calling card of a blue ribbon to show he has claimed another prize. So sounds like a really good kind of mystery there, kind of some compelling art right there, kind of an interesting choice for a cover, but it sounded really good, and I thought well worth it to go ahead and pick it up. A little bit of a longer book here. It's got Some big letters there, of course. It's probably designed for, it's probably one of these copies that's designed for, yeah, large print. It is a large print copy, so that's why it's probably deceptively longer than what it actually is, but it did sound good, so I said, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and grab this one. All right, next up, I'm gonna go nonfiction here, and I'm gonna look at That's Why I'm Here by Chris Spielman with Bruce Hooley. The Chris and Stephanie Spielman story. And if you're familiar with that, you don't even have to be a football fan. Chris Spielman, for many people, is a big name for college football fans. Of course, know him from his days playing at Ohio State. For fans of the state of Michigan, who probably didn't like him because he played at Ohio State, they probably came to love Chris Spielman when he ended up playing for the Detroit Lions, a great linebacker for the Detroit Lions. I actually have Chris Spielman's number 54 jersey in my collection, and so this is just an incredibly, I haven't read the book, but I know the story. I'm very familiar with the story, and it just seems destined to be a really powerful read, and I'm excited to take an opportunity to read this book at some point. So when I saw it on the shelf for 99 cents, it was just a can't miss one. So I just went ahead and grabbed it, and just really looking forward to reading the Chris and Stephanie Spielman story. Okay, back to fiction here, and I'm gonna go back to our guy James Patterson here. Picked up NYPD Red, James Patterson co-writing with Marshall Karp. This one just sounded like a good one to me. It's the start of Hollywood. It's the start of the Hollywood on Hudson Festival, and New York City is swept up in the glamour. At red carpet premieres, thousands of fans gather with the paparazzi to glimpse the world's most famous faces. With this many celebrities in town, Special Task Force NYPD Red is on high alert. Then a world-renowned producer is fatally poisoned, and top NYPD Red detective Zach Jordan must work with his new partner, Detective Kylie McDonald, to uncover the killer. And it just sounded like a really interesting read, and I've had good success with James Patterson, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a try. Next up is another author that I've read actually once, but I have a number of books by Stuart Woods, and this latest one is White Cargo, and it sounded really interesting to me. They should have killed Catledge, but they let him live while they savagely brutalized his wife and daughter. Let him live while they sent his yacht and his family to the bottom of the Caribbean. Let him live knowing he could never find the killers in the drug towns of Colombia. Then, late one night, back in the States, the phone rang, and one word gave Catledge something to live for. One word that launched a one-man war against a ruthless outlaw. So, sounds like a really, really good story right there. A very intriguing story. Relatively short, in the 350-page range, so should be a relatively quick read. Sounded really good, and go ahead and grab that one. Next up is a book that I probably normally wouldn't grab, but I saw it, and I thought for 99 cents, I would give Twilight a try. I know a lot of people that actually are fans of Twilight, and it's not really something that I've necessarily jumped to read. It is a part of a series, apparently, as you can see from the back cover, and so I'm looking forward to maybe dipping my toe in the water here a little bit and seeing if Twilight is something that would appeal to me. Next up is The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson, and this is one I've seen numerous times and just never really picked it up. I should say I've seen it on Amazon numerous times and just never picked it up, but it sounded like an interesting story. And so crusading publisher Michael Bloomquist has decided to run an explosive expose of a wide-ranging sex trafficking operation. Just before the piece is published, 2 people are brutally murdered. The fingerprints on the murder weapon belong to his friend, the troubled hacker genius Lisbeth Salander. Bloomquist, convinced of Salander's innocence, plunges into an investigation. Meanwhile, Lisbeth herself is drawn into a murderous game of cat and mouse and is forced to face her dark past. So, sounded really good. Pretty good back cover there, and just kind of something that kind of grabs you a little bit. So, I thought it was worth it for 99 cents. Next up on the haul is The Ruins by Scott Smith. This was a book that I had not heard of, but it sounded really intriguing. Trapped in the Mexican jungle, a group of friends stumble upon a creeping horror unlike anything they could ever imagine. Two young couples are on a lazy Mexican vacation, sun-drenched days, wild nights, making friends with fellow tourists. When the brother of one of those friends disappears, they decide to venture into the jungle to look for him. What started out as a fun day trip slowly spirals into a nightmare when they find an ancient ruined site and the terrifying presence that lurks there. So, I'm guessing this is, the movie is based on this, or this is based on the movie, because that sounds a lot like a movie that I watch with the same title. So I'm guessing, you're probably thinking, duh. But, yeah, I put that together after I saw it, and I thought, oh, that was interesting, because that is what the movie was like. And the movie was kind of interesting, but I'm hoping the book will be better. Just a hope. Next up, I picked up Twilight, and at the same time I picked up The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner, an Eclipse novella. So I thought it sounded kind of interesting. I watched his body change. He crouched on the roof, one hand gripping the edge. All that strange friendliness disappeared, and he was a hunter. That was something I recognized, something I was comfortable with, because I understood. I turned off my brain. It was time to hunt. I took a deep breath, drawing in the scent of the blood inside the humans below. They weren't the only humans around, but they were the closest. Who you were going to hunt was the kind of decision you had to make before you scented your prey. It was too late now to choose anything. So, not normally the kind of book that I would go for, just not really necessarily my style, but I picked it up and I thought, well, maybe if I want to try something different, I might take a little chance with some of the Twilight type stories. So we'll see how that goes. Next up is The A-List by Zooey Dean, and I thought this was sounded kind of interesting. After 12 years of exceptional grades, Waldorf Astoria teas, and working well with others, Anna Percy has had it with perfect academic record and her perfectly boring prep school life. So she jets off to LA, where the course of 24 hours she'll hit an Oscar winner's wedding, lounge at an after-hours backlot party, and meet a guy she just might love. Life couldn't be going better for Anna. That is, until Cammy, Sam, and Dee enter the scene. They are the A-list, and no one steals their spotlight. So, sounded kind of interesting. Pretty interesting cover art right there as well. And it was just kind of an attention grabber for me when I saw it on the bookshelf. And I thought, just go ahead and grab it. $1, can't beat it. And lastly on this haul is Sing, Unburied, Sing by Jessamine Ward. This one I had kind of seen a couple of times as I was looking around on Amazon, and I thought, I'm going to go ahead and take an opportunity to read this one. It just sounded kind of interesting. I thought, the author's name was one that I recognized, and so I felt like, I'm going to go ahead and grab this one. Jojo is 13 years old and trying to understand what it means to be a man. He doesn't lack in fathers to study, chief among them his black grandfather, Pop. But there are other men who complicate his understanding. His absent white father, Michael, who is being released from prison, his grandfather, Big Joseph, who won't acknowledge his existence, and the memories of his uncle, Given, who died as a teenager. So you can see kind of a lot of things going on there, and it just sounded kind of interesting and well worth picking up in this massive book haul. So, Sing, Unburied, Sing by Jessamine Ward. Okay, so it's a wrap for that book haul. It was a really interesting book haul, having a chance to go down, spend some good time with a quality person that I like spending time with, and also had an opportunity to partake in some good book shopping down in Grand Rapids, and so lots of fun there. Looking forward to adding some of these books to my TBR in future months, but yeah, I'm really excited. It was a good haul. So there's some good ones in there that I'm definitely looking forward to reading in the future. You know, I could name a couple right off the bat that just really grab me and make me want to read them right off the bat, especially the nonfiction one by Chris Spielman about him and his life with his wife, his late wife, Stephanie. So I'm really excited to check that out at some point in the future. And yeah, man, that's it for this book haul. So if you would be so kind, hit the like button for this video, and if you would also be inclined to hit the subscribe button for future contents, future booktube content here on this channel, as I continue to share a little bit of my reading journey with you, and hopefully you will come along with me on the journey, and maybe bring a friend or an enemy with you, and we can all enjoy life in the booktube community together.